What kind of amazing day is this? It's an amazing day. Huh? What kind of day is this? I know what It's the best day. It's the best.
You already got the best.
This is the best. Huh? The presiding deity in this body is the self. There isn't another. It is not working in any partnership. Just some state of dreaming is thinning away, thinning away. Like if you watch the smoke coming from the top of the chimney, and look, it thins away, thins away. And then also this duality in ourselves must be thinning away. What could cause it to still persist, and for how long? Maybe some fear, attachment. And yet the proof is so compelling that as you transcend, the feeling of loss is just... You're happy to lose, because you're only losing what is untrue. So why to grieve about that? Yourself must be the self. You know, in whatever spiritual discipline or religion, practitioners throughout the world have always found the most difficult thing is to overcome the person. Even in spite of so many years of practice and so on, finally, you know, the person is still, at best, becomes a spiritual person. But to be washed out from the very DNA of consciousness, this is very rare. And by washed out, it doesn't mean that there isn't a sense of someone calls you, you know, Tony or George. Oh yeah, you know. Something still answers to that, but it's just so superficial, so light, without any psychological reaction or emotional reaction. The self is always perfectly wise and appropriate in its responses. But there's no door there. It's not calculating anything. So this stain, you know, we see it. And it keeps on also exposing that so much of our interest is circulating our personhood. If we're physically sick, or you lose something, some money, or someone is rude to you, or something like that, you know, how much fire is still in that identity, you know. So that alone exposes that, you know, he's not laid to rest. You see, that we can only be good. It doesn't mean that, of course, anger cannot be expressed. Anger can be expressed also. Can there be something like impersonal anger? Yes, there can be, actually. Impersonal anger can be there. They say, but who's going to be angry? The anger loses its acidity when the person is not there. It's like a kind of righteous anger or something, because there's an injustice or something is wrong, so it expresses. But it doesn't linger, it doesn't hold. It doesn't leave any seed to sprout later, to cause trouble. You see. And it's totally wise and also natural. But habitual hunger, it's already smelling like a person is there. And so, in satsangs in the mornings when we are sitting, everything is telling you, watch. And watch where you're watching from. Watch all this that goes on. How momentary they are. Why to give so much energy to what is momentary? And even if you may say the object is not momentary to itself, but it is momentary to your perception. And your perception gives it reality. If you know nothing about it, it doesn't exist for you. And there are certain things that keep striking at a kind of passionate reaction from us. And it exposes the sense of person. You have to keep watching this thing. What is giving life to the person? You know? The person cannot give life to itself. It doesn't really exist. You see? Just like somebody goes to write a novel, and everything they write does not exist. It comes out of their mind, and they create, and then other people read their creation and react to it very powerfully. But it doesn't exist. In the same way, our own personal sense of self is built out of our own imagination and perpetuates because of, habit. We should know this and strive to really establish this. Because the mind is not going to let go of you and go, okay, give you a break. It's you who have to confirm yourself at the place of the self. You have to confirm yourself at the place of the self. When you were given a name as a child, you didn't instantly remember it. And after repetition, it somehow gets embedded in the consciousness as the first implant, the first deep impression is formed. And thereafter, no effort was required to remember it. And yet the name is not original to you. You see. Whereas yourself is original to you. It's you. You've forgotten it. Now you're learning it. It's strange that we are learning the thing we cannot not be. How it could happen that you have to learn to be the thing you cannot not be? Or is it that we unlearn to be the thing we imagine we are? But I don't feel that you have to unlearn. The emphasis should be on unlearning the thing you're not. Because the thing which we are can never not be. It is always present. So your attention is being called back there all the time. And the instant the recognition happens, the thing you are not, you don't have to undo. It does not exist. If you have to undo the things, suppose we have to undo the things we have done. How many lifetimes you will need? You can't even remember. You see? But these things, they're just dust. There's nothing at all. They become something if you believe them to be something. Then you have to work at them to remove them. Because the more you believe, the more deep the stain becomes. The harder to remove. When you recognize the self, why even we should even talk like that? It is shameful, actually. Why should we even speak like this? Like it has to be drummed into you what is obvious. And yet you remember so easily what is false. What does it say of us? But very often we give things to our mind first. you know, to see what the mind thinks about it. And a lot of trouble comes from that. You see. That which is natural in itself is effortless. It is beyond time. It did not accomplish that. Even the accomplisher is not true. Still the play goes on. And must go on. Because the play, it has an author, you know. They say today is Christmas, and we are celebrating. All over the world, people celebrate. In Christendom, they're celebrating now. But if you pay attention to your senses, your hearing works just like Christ. Yes. Your eyes work just like Christ. Your taste and your feeling, it works just like Christ. The sense organs and the sense perceptions, they work just like that. They are functions. Behind them is an intelligence that perceives them. Are we still together? Yes. This intelligence. If it's disassociated from all of its imaginings, then you're experiencing Christ within yourself right now. You don't have to make a festival about it. And this is the way, if you want to make Christmas into something, you can do that. Because in his day, and in the day of every living master, the senses were on the surface functioning by themselves. And they were reporting to the mind that interpreted them according to its own conditioning. And there was a deeper watcher, a space of watching, but was not entangled in the scenario or in the bubble of that perception. In this watching place, it has no interest. It cannot be divided or destabilized. That is the womb of the manifest world. Who is there? It is beyond heaven. You cannot truly know it and stand apart from it, because only it can truly know itself. Beyond the expression or play of duality, it is there, you are here. But our fascination with the surface, with form and name, amounts to a kind of distraction, a kind of amnesia. But even they are unreal. Even the forgetting of the self is unreal. Even the very remembering of the self is unreal. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
These are not things for your mind. Or if the mind really embraces them, it is not the usual mind anymore. Then the mind and the self, they are one. It's the same. It was never two from the very beginning. It was never two. So earlier than two, purer than one. Who can contain this knowledge? Nobody. Just like the flower does not hold on to the scent. You don't have to hold on to any knowledge. You find the self and everything is there. But they're there only if they're needed. And when a thing is needed, it comes into being. If it's not needed, why would waste? So, Merry Christmas, everybody. The daily functions of the body and mind are being taken care of by some power. You don't need to identify or exert so much effort to take care of mundane things. The cosmic mechanism will take care of it. But remain fixed in the self. Be in the self as the self itself. Consciously. Until you naturally transcend the habit to forget or remember the self. It won't be a mechanical success. Grace is with you. From the beginning it called. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
sweetheart. See you in a bit.